Imagine you just got the news you've been waiting months for. Your boss calls you in, shakes your hand, and tells you that starting next month, your salary is going up. A solid raise. More money hitting your account every single month. You walk out of that office feeling like you've finally cracked the code. Like the financial struggle is finally over. Like this is the turning point. And here's the wild part. 3 months later, you check your bank account. And somehow, you're saving less than you were before the raise. Not the same. Less. How does that even happen? You're earning more. The math should be simple. More in, more saved. But for millions of people, every single time their income goes up, their wealth barely moves. Sometimes it goes backwards. This isn't a coincidence. It's a trap. And today, we're going to talk about exactly how it works and, more importantly, how to escape it. Here's what most people believe about money. They believe that their financial problems are an income problem. They think, if I just earned a little more, everything would fall into place. I'd pay off the debt. I'd start investing. I'd finally build some savings. And that belief feels completely logical. Because when you're struggling with money, the most obvious answer is get more money. So people work harder, chase promotions, switch jobs for better salaries. And when the raise finally comes, there's this huge wave of relief. Like arriving at a destination after a long journey. But then something strange happens. The new salary starts to feel normal. The relief fades. The bills somehow grow to match the new income. And within a few months, you're back to the same feeling of financial tightness, just with a higher number on your payslip. Economists have a name for this. They call it lifestyle inflation. But I want to go deeper than just the name, because understanding why it happens is what actually helps you beat it. Let me tell you about two people. Call them Sara and Ahmed. Sara earns $3,000 a month. She's careful with money. She saves $300 every month, that's 10% of what she earns. It's not glamorous, but it's consistent. Ahmed earns $6,000 a month. Double Sara's salary. He got a big promotion 2 years ago and was absolutely certain his money problems were behind him. Here's the thing. Ahmed saves $150 a month. Sara, making half as much, is building wealth twice as fast as Ahmed. How? Because Ahmed's spending grew with his income. When he got the raise, he upgraded his apartment. A nicer car came next. Then better restaurants, more subscriptions, upgraded gadgets, more frequent trips. None of these felt like big decisions. Each one felt completely reasonable given what he was now earning. This is the trap in its purest form. And here's the psychology behind it, because this is where it gets really interesting. There's a concept in psychology called hedonic adaptation. It basically means that human beings are wired to return to a baseline level of satisfaction, no matter what changes in their life. You buy a new car. For the first 2 weeks, every time you sit in it, you feel amazing. A month later, it's just your car. The excitement fades. The new baseline is set. Same thing happens with income. When you earn $3,000, a $6,000 salary sounds like freedom. But once you're at $6,000, it becomes your new normal. Now $6,000 feels tight. And $10,000 sounds like freedom. The finish line keeps moving. Not because of bad luck, but because of how the human brain processes pleasure and satisfaction. Your brain doesn't think in absolute numbers. It thinks in comparisons. It always compares where you are to where you recently were and to where the people around you are. Which brings us to the second force driving this trap. And this one is even more powerful. Social comparison. When your income goes up, very often your social circle shifts. Or your expectations of yourself shift. You get the promotion, now you're around colleagues who drive nicer cars and go on better holidays. You move to a better neighborhood. You feel a subtle pressure, sometimes completely unconscious, to look the part. Psychologists call this keeping up with the Joneses, but the modern version is more like keeping up with your own idea of who you're supposed to be now. You tell yourself, I work hard. I deserve this. And maybe you do. That's not even the debate. The debate is whether spending it is the best use of it. Because there's a version of deserving your raise that looks like building a future you can actually enjoy, not just a lifestyle that feels slightly more impressive right now. Here's a simple way to think about it. Imagine your income is water flowing into a bucket. Your savings and investments are the water that stays in the bucket. Your expenses are holes at the bottom. When most people get a raise, they don't patch the holes. They just pour more water in and then quietly add a few more holes. The bucket never fills. Now here's the deeper idea. And this is the part that most people completely miss. Wealth is not about how much you earn. Wealth is about the gap between what you earn and what you spend. That gap, that space between income and expenses, is where actual financial progress lives. A person earning $4,000 and spending $3,000 is building wealth. A person earning $10,000 and spending $10,000 is running in place. A person earning $10,000 and spending $11,000 is falling behind. With excellent furniture. This sounds obvious when you say it out loud. But behaviorally? Most people manage money as if wealth is an income goal. They set a number: if I hit this salary, I'll be fine, and they keep chasing that number, decade after decade, never quite arriving. The reason this keeps happening isn't laziness or stupidity. It's something called Parkinson's Law. Parkinson's Law was originally about time. It said that work expands to fill the time available. But the same principle applies perfectly to money. Expenses expand to fill the income available. It's almost automatic. It requires no conscious decision. The moment more money flows in, the lifestyle quietly upgrades itself. The subscriptions multiply. The occasional treat becomes weekly. The budget loosens, then disappears. And the worst part? The spending that comes with lifestyle inflation rarely brings lasting happiness. It brings temporary comfort, a few weeks of novelty, and then the new baseline resets, and you need more just to feel the same. You are essentially on a financial treadmill. Moving faster and faster. Going nowhere. There's one more layer to this that makes it especially painful long-term. Opportunity cost. Every rupee, dollar, or dirham you spend on lifestyle upgrades today is not just that amount of money. It's everything that money could have become. Let's say Ahmed's lifestyle inflation costs him an extra $500 a month compared to what he spent before his raise. Over 10 years, that's $60,000 spent. But if that $500 a month had gone into an investment returning a modest 8% annually, it would have grown to over $90,000. He didn't just spend $60,000. He traded away $90,000 of future wealth for a slightly nicer apartment and meals he barely remembers eating. That's the real cost of the salary trap. It doesn't show up on your credit card statement. It shows up in the wealth you never built. So what do you actually do with this? The most powerful habit you can build is something called paying yourself first and locking in your savings rate before your lifestyle has a chance to adjust. Here's how it works in practice. The moment your raise kicks in, before you change a single spending habit, automatically transfer the difference into savings or investments. Treat it like it was never part of your take-home pay. Your lifestyle never sees it. Hedonic adaptation has nothing to adapt to. If you were saving $300 before the raise, and now you earn $500 more per month, save $700. Let your lifestyle absorb only the remainder. Or nothing at all. The goal isn't to live miserably. You can enjoy some of your raise. But the rule should be intentional. You decide consciously how much goes to lifestyle and how much goes to wealth building, not the other way around. Second idea, define your enough. Most people never do this. They just keep moving the target. But sit down and actually ask yourself, what lifestyle, specifically, would genuinely make me content? What does enough look like for you? Because without that answer, your expenses will always drift toward whatever your income allows. The ceiling becomes the floor. Every raise refills your spending bucket automatically. When you define enough, you create a ceiling on lifestyle expenses. And every rupee above that ceiling becomes a wealth building tool instead of a comfort upgrade. Third, track the gap, not the income. Stop measuring financial progress by your salary. Start measuring it by your savings rate, the percentage of what you earn that you actually keep and invest. A 20% savings rate on $3,000 beats a 5% savings rate on $8,000. Every time. Over long enough periods, the person with the disciplined savings rate builds a completely different life. Regardless of starting salary. Here's the thought I want to leave you with. More money is genuinely a good thing. A higher salary is worth working toward. But money, on its own, does not build wealth. The behavior around money builds wealth. Every raise you've ever received was an opportunity. A chance to widen the gap between earning and spending. To quietly, invisibly build a foundation that most people around you will never see until decades later, when the results become impossible to ignore. The trap isn't the raise. The trap is the assumption that the raise will automatically fix things without you changing anything about how you think or behave around money. The salary goes up. The lifestyle follows. The savings stay flat. And the finish line keeps moving. But now you see it. And once you see the trap, you can stop walking into it. The next raise you get, that moment will be a choice. A real one. Make it count.